What's going on, guys? I haven't filmed a video in a while, but I'm gonna do some car work this week. I got some new stuff, and I'm gonna start the install video today. Also, you can see that all of my winter wheel storage is inside, except I don't have two of the Miata wheels because two of my drift spares are flat. So anyway, let me show you what we'll be installing. I'm letting her warm up because she hasn't been driving in a little bit. So I got myself a present. I got myself a diff, and as you can see by the gentleman who nicely wrote on it, who was using it, it's a Wavetrac with 408 gears. So that should be pretty cool. And then they did have it mounted for hookups for a diff cooler and quick drain. You can see it down there, which is awesome. But also in this box here, I got myself a clutch and flywheel and differential bushings. These guys look like the stock rubber ones, and back here this one might be a pain, but I do have it in case I decide to use it. So that's the install that we're going to be starting today. This will be the first time I've ever done a differential or a clutch in a car, so I guess it'll be a learning experience for me. There's been a lot of other people who've done like really detailed install videos, so I don't know that I'm going to do that, but this is my journey. I hope you guys enjoy coming along with me. Oh, I forgot, the flywheel that I got is 14.7 pounds, so the stock one's like 33 pounds or something, so it should be should rev pretty quick after this. So maybe I'll go get a before rev shot right now. But all right, I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye. Loaded up. Oh yeah, I brought the drone along just in case. I guess it's time to go. What's going on, guys? I figured I'd just give you an update on my current status. Sorry, I have no idea how close this is to me. So we have gotten almost everything disassembled. You'll recognize this subframe brace from the underside of the car. That is between that subframe brace and the drive shaft and the exhaust. And then I have my exhaust out. I ended up having to pull the muffler and the H-pipe, mid-pipe section out. And one of my gaskets is kind of shot. Fortunately, I think I have some leftovers. But under here, I'll see what I can show. Here, hold on, I got some laid. Okay, so under here you can see the drive shaft is free. The axles are both hung up with zip ties. And I also disconnected the sensors. You can see one of them right here. And now I did get the rear bushing bolt out. I actually replaced polyurethane bushings a long time ago, so I did buy an extra set, but the rear one looks fine, and since it's a pain to get out, I think I'm just going to leave the rear one, but I will be replacing the front too. just because I have them. And yeah, so the diff's about ready to come out. And then the new one will go in. And then I won't put anything back. Oh, I also had to take this sway bar out because it was in the way of getting to the subframe bushing bolts in the front. So I just couldn't get a wrench on them, so I took the sway bar out too. And yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's a puzzle and you gotta get crap out of the way. You probably could have gotten it out without the subframe, or the sway bar, excuse me, if you really didn't want to, but it's all right. So I'm gonna call Kevin in here and get a hand, making sure I don't drop this diff as I loosen up the front too, but it's about ready to come out. And, oh, sorry. There. And, yeah, I guess I'll get you another update when I get the diff in, and then I'll start unbolting the transmission and stuff. This is going to be a multi-day endeavor, it seems, so if anybody was trying to do this in one day, I don't know, it might have taken me about 2 hours to get this far by myself. Probably is faster, like once you've done it before, but it's kind of like, oh, can I get that out? No, okay, I guess I'll pull this thing out of the way, etc. So it's not been bad. Most of the stuff's not been rusty, but I did have an impact, which helps instead of cranking for frickin' ever, so that's cool. But yeah, that's pretty much it for now. I'll check back in when I have time. What's going on, guys? So I just got the diff all filled up with fluid from the old diff. So I did have an extra bottle of Motul laying around. 75 W90, the stuff that is recommended you put in these diffs. I didn't have enough, and I actually went to the store to order some, and they said, oh, you can pick it up tomorrow. So I actually ordered it, and then tonight I got impatient. So I put the same stuff in this diff, like, I'm gonna say like 3 months ago, something like that. So I just drained it out and then also put that inside the diff. So now it's full. And then when I got this diff, it actually was used for a race car, an IMSA race car. So it had fittings on it for a transmission cooler, or a diff and transmission cooler. So I used, one of those uses the breather location. You can see on that one over there, it's got the little hose sticking out of it just like this one does. So I just got an AN fitting. It's an -6. Where's the box at? This guy. A -6 AN fitting with a hose, with a push lock 90-degree hose end, and put some fuel line on there. So I'm going to run that in the same place as the other hose. But I also put the Z1 bushings in the front, but I'm not taking the back one out. I think I already said that. So I'm going to, maybe with my boy Kevin's help, who's over there working on an engine for the V8. V8 for the V8? There you go. Good old out. He's naming their cars the engine. Love it. Anyway, so yeah, I'm going to roll this under there and get it bolted back up. Bad. Hey guys, what's going on? It's the start of day 2, or night 2, I guess, because it's like 6 o'clock already. But so it's time to start taking out the trans. So there was a super good guide on Z1 Motorsports, or on Z1 Motorsports, on the370z.com about how to get the trans out. And one of the first things you have to do is unbolt it up here. It's these 4 boys, and then there are 3 boys underneath this guy that you got to get to next. So I'm going to get started with that. I already pulled that off, although didn't come off super smooth, and I actually tore 2 of these screws out, but it's disconnected now, so it's fine. It's but as far as underneath, I guess I kind of showed it to you guys yesterday, so I'm just gonna get started unbolting stuff. My understanding is I have to disconnect every single harness from the trans, so I'm just gonna lay under there here after I get done undoing that, and get to work on disconnecting all the stuff. I did learn by reading that the drive shaft just slides into the transmission. So it's a good thing that I put it on the jack stand, because otherwise it would have just fallen out. So I guess that's good. But yeah, a lot of the stuff that I left disassembled, it looks like I didn't need to leave it disassembled, like the sway bar you can see down there. I could have rebolted that back up, but I think right now I should focus on getting the difficult stuff done, and then when I have some free time or when I'm not in a rush, I can come back and bolt all the other easy stuff back in. But yeah, I'm going to get started, and if I run into any hiccups or have anything worth showing, I'll make sure to get a recording on it. Bye. Hey guys, what's going on? I guess today's the start of day 3. Day 2, I probably worked, or yesterday I worked for maybe 5 hours from whenever I got home till about midnight. And then I decided to call it a night. And then I went home and went to bed. And now I'm back. And as you just saw, I got the heater going in here because it's pretty stinking cold. So what I got done yesterday is I got the shifter lever. Oh, here I can show you. Sorry, it's going to be a little bit loud, but I need it to get warmer in here. So the heater's on, like I showed in the preview. But I got the shifter. Let me get a light going. I got the shifter removed. You can see it's missing, and I wasn't able to get this baby all the way out, so you can see this the center console panel is just kind of hanging out in here. So but I was able to get past that and unbolt everything, and I organized the bolts around here. So underneath the car, you can see that I got everything out of the way. So literally what I spent 2 hours of yesterday doing is pulling just this section of the exhaust off because it was so rusted. And I can only blame Ohio for that, because I drove this same car with the same bolts in Nebraska for 3 winters without them rusting that bad. And then the test pipes are down there, and I did disconnect the whole harness. And don't forget, when you disconnect the shifter, sorry, this is hard with where the camera is, there's a bolt, it goes right here, and you have to disconnect it before you can take the shifter out. And that was 100% in the guide that I read, but I missed it because I'm dumb. And so then I was just pulling on the shifter lever up there. I'm like, I don't understand. It looks like you're basically loose. Why won't you come out? And that's why. So, yeah, now I gotta put, basically, the last thing I did last night before I left was disconnect this whole wiring harness. And the only real difficulty I had was with this boy right here. He hides up here with this blue guy. And here, let me see if I can put the light on it. This blue guy up here, and I couldn't figure out where his connector was, so I actually had to take this black piece of metal off so I could see it better. But you really don't have to remove that black piece of metal if you know that the tab is on the top and further back than you expect. So I was pushing on right here, right in behind where the tab is, if that makes sense, and I needed to just be on the tab. But yeah, as soon as I got that, the harness came out. It was really pretty easy. It's just a bunch of 10 mils and a couple 14s. So now I got to disconnect the clutch line there and make sure I don't leak everywhere, and then start working on unbolting the trans and the starter and everything else. And then I'll be able to drop the trans and get to my clutch. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I guess I have no idea if you can see me. Hopefully that's where I'm at. That's my status update, and I'll try to vlog if I find anything interesting or difficult. But I think tonight is just prepare the transmission to come out when I have assistance from Nick and Kevin tomorrow. Also, it's supposed to be 25 degrees warmer tomorrow, so that might be cool. So yeah, I'll be back. While I'm up here, I just wanted to show you what happened to my exhaust gaskets. You know, a second ago I was complaining about rust in Ohio. Well, there's that guy. And there's this guy. I think I've changed my exhaust maybe 6 or 7 times now. I've swapped, and I have never had to replace a gasket. And this time I take them off, and those 2 are destroyed. And over here, at least another one of them is destroyed. Rusty boy. Oh, here's the drive shaft. They said, the guy that I saw said, oh, some fluid might leak out when you pull the drive shaft or after, but it hasn't yet. Although, I haven't tilted the trans backward. But yeah, I haven't plugged the trans. The reason I started recording, though, is because I'm going to show you how I undid the clutch line. So I have a heavy-duty clutch slave cylinder. I forget if I got it from Z-Speed. I think I did. I guess I'll look. But, so my uninstall is a little bit different. And I guess the guide that I watched didn't explain it in a way that I understood. So I'm going to show you how I disconnected it so that maybe that will be helpful. All right, hold on. Scoop. Okay, so looks like my solution is holding. I gotta get my light around the edge here. But as you can see, I have used a rubber glove and zip tied it on the line. So when you come in here, if you saw my video before, 2 things were connected right here where the point of my light is at. And one of them was this guy, the flare nut or whatever. And I was trying to figure out how the whole thing disconnected. And basically I pulled the little locking plate out. This guy right here, the locking plate, I pulled him out. And then I still couldn't figure out how to get the part that's now zip tied up in here off. And I was pulling at it, and I couldn't figure it out. And I finally just said, all right, screw it. I'll just undo the bolt up here that's in the point of my light. And then I'll just pull the whole thing off, and then who cares? And when I pulled it off, I realized that this is the plate right here where the point of my light is at now. And if you just rotate the hard line, the thing that's in the glove now, 90 degrees, it'll just fall right out. So then I didn't have a plastic bag around, but I did have my glove from yesterday, which didn't have any holes in it. So I just wrapped that around the hard line, and now that's done. So I'm going to start on trying to find which bolts I should undo for the trans. I'm going to break them all loose, and then I'm going to pull out the ones that I can get out. And then tomorrow the trans will get dropped when I have a friend here to help me, because I don't have a trans jack. So we're just going to use a normal jack or maybe a motorcycle jack, but I would like some help with that part. So anyway, hopefully that part was helpful, because I sat here and felt like an idiot for at least 10 minutes trying to figure out how to get it disconnected. So, all right. I have no idea if you can see me or not, but yeah. Oh, well, I guess, I don't know. I think it's kind of interesting to be under here when there's no exhaust, no drive shaft, no nothing. I guess I've laid under here a lot, but I've never laid under here with this stuff. So, I don't know. I'm entertained, and you can see my new diff back there. I definitely cut my knee up on the cooling fins on the bottom, trying to crawl out that way, which is why I now crawl out from the side, because I'm very smart like that, I guess. All right. So, I'll give you guys any more updates when I have them. All right, that's gonna be it for the night. I've probably been out here working for like maybe 2 hours, and I got the rest of the sensors disconnected, as you saw, and then I just broke loose all the bolts for the trans. So tomorrow it'll just be ready to spin them out and drop the trans, and then start switching out the clutch and stuff, and then reassembling everything. So while I'm under here, I wanted to show what I had to do to get to these boys, the guys that are coming from the engine side to the trans. So if you see this little, oh crap, that's really dark. Let me see if I can make it brighter for you. Oh, well, that's actually really useful. So this rubber guy right here that the light's going out on me on, that guy, I undid him. He's got a little metal bracket that holds him up. He holds 2 hard lines, and I pulled him off so I could get to the bolts. You can see the one guy up in there. Of course, they're the ones that are going into the trans, so that's 1. This is 2, 3, and 4. And you can see 4, I still have the socket on. So the starter is just up here above the socket, so you kind of have to lift. My light must be dying. Oh yeah, it's super dying. Okay, well anyway, it's pretty hard to see now, but the starter is above that ratchet where you could see it. So I was having to lift that ratchet up to get it out. But I'm gonna call it a day or a night, and I'm gonna go home. And then I'll come back. Ugh. Yeah, you're gonna get to watch me crawl out, because this is the best part. Oh, this is such a motivator to buy a lift. Oh. Oh. Almost there. Oh. Yep, that's the kind of content that you get here, that kind of awesome stuff. Okay. Anyway, more tomorrow. XOXO Conrad. Bye. Good old Sabaru. Alright guys, it's the start of day 3 and it's time to get to work. I've actually already been out there and just removed all the transmission bolts, but I came back inside because I realized I forgot my camera and then I should try to record something. So let's get going. Making a year turn video? Trying, yeah. But anyway, all the bolts are out.
They're what around?
They're all out. Alright, so we just got the transmission pulled out, and I totally forgot that top left bolt. The one that has the breather on it, you can see the breather kind of dangling right here. So don't forget that. I had broken it loose but not spun it out. And the way we got to that one was actually like along the top here. Like if the trans was still up, it was the easiest way to get to it, to spin it loose because it was so many turns. Other than that, yeah, I guess we'll just pull this out of the way and then get started on the pressure plate and everything else. So I just got off the pressure plate in the clutch. They're right there. And now there's the flywheel. And Nick's being a nice guy and bringing me the Torx heads that I need to pull the flywheel off so I can put the new one on. Hey guys, I thought I'd show you what I'm using to get my pilot bearing out. So that guy in the center there, he's the pilot bearing. And how I'm getting him out is with this slide hammer. So you slide your, oh here. You slide like that, and it makes a jarring force that'll pop the bearing out. And as you can see, it's starting to come out. And I do have the replacement right there, so I really don't care. I saw a bunch of different ways to get this baby out, including bread, stuffing bread in there and then popping it out with that. But this method seems to be working. So, yeah, let's see if I can show you what I'm doing. It's kind of a little bit redneck, but it works. So basically, that guy fits in there. And then if I hold him down, I get him to hold, and then all I gotta do is just pop. And she's almost out. Oh, there's not a lot of room in here. There she goes. So that's it. pilot bearing is out. I mean, I damaged it a little bit, but so if you're gonna reuse it, don't use this method. But anyway, I got the replacement. Now I'll take the replacement and just tap it in there, and then we'll begin the reassembly. So that's awesome. We are on the other side of the massive mountain that is this job. So I got my new pilot bearing in, and here, I'll put the camera up with the light down. I marred it up just a little bit putting it in. So maybe don't try exactly the method that I used, but I tried to follow what I saw. So I used my clutch alignment tool, and I slipped it on right here where my finger is. And then I put that in here, and then I tapped on it. And that worked all right until I tapped on it kind of hard, and the bearing, or the clutch alignment tool, bent a little bit. So it looks like it's just a plastic piece fit inside of another plastic piece, so that's all right. And then I tried, where's the mallet? Then I tried just malleting this guy just on it, and that really didn't work at all. So then I got a socket out, and this is a, what is this, a 14? This is a 14, and it's pretty darn close. Like, I don't know if you can see that, but it's pretty much the right size. So then I was using the soft mallet on that, and that wasn't working all that good. So then I came and got this guy. So, of course, this guy, hitting the socket with it, it's going to damage the socket. And you can see that I marred it up, and we'll see if it actually goes back on a ratchet. In fact, here's a ratchet. So it looks like it goes back on, but that's why you don't want to do that. But it did go in. So, yeah, so there's that. So I guess I'll get the flywheel in here and then put the hand thread, the hex bolts back on. These guys right here. They are a T50, this guy right here. T55? Let me look. Come here. T55. So I didn't actually have that, so thank the Lord that Nick did. So you're going to need a T55 bit for that. I saw people say they're Torx bolts, but I guess I didn't read that they were 55s. So that's what you'll need. And I did use the impact to get them out, but just be really careful because you got to make sure the impact is all the way in. But yeah, time to do the reassembly. So I just got the flywheel Torx heads all tightened down, and I was having the flywheel spin on me, so I cheated and used a wrench. So I threaded in one of the pressure plate bolts and one of the trans bolts, and then I stuck a wrench between them, and that stopped the flywheel from turning, which actually worked really well. Totally stole that off of some guy on the internet, don't know who, so I didn't come up with it, but dang, it works good. So now it's time to brake cleaner the crap out of the flywheel, make sure it doesn't slip at all. And then we'll go get the clutch. All right, so I have something that I learned. The guide that I followed said to use this guy to push the pilot bearing in. So this thing is like multiple parts, and the pilot bearing sits on the part where my thumb is. And so the guide that I was reading on v370z.com said, oh, you just mallet it in this way. But actually, like I said earlier, I tried to do that and it didn't work. But what I learned was it kind of bubbled out the clutch alignment tool a little bit. So if you look at it now, clutch alignment tool doesn't go in very easy. I'm pushing down pretty hard and it won't really want to go in. I did get it to slide in by popping out this other section and getting it through. But just for anyone who's doing this, definitely do not mallet on this cheap plasticky tool. Use a socket like I did. You can use this tool to like align it or whatever, but then take a socket or something to it, because this, I mean, this nearly damaged it. You can see these teeth are getting marred up, and it'll work for me putting this in, but not the best idea. So there you go. You learned something today. So did I. So we finally got the clutch alignment tool in by pulling back out the extra little rubber stopper on the end as far as we could get it, and then threading it in and out of the stock clutch a bunch of times to wear it down. And now it's in. So there you go. There's the 6-puck. Here comes the pressure plate. And that's the flywheel. Or the, excuse me. Hold on. And that's the pressure plate. fully installed with the alignment tool still in it, and I went around and tightened them in the star, or hand tightened them in the star just like before. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3. So you do like the middle of each, the first of each, the last of each. So, and now I'm gonna get a torque wrench in here, and it said 11 foot-pounds the first time and 29 foot-pounds the second time, so I'm gonna do that. And then we could begin the reassembly of everything after we pull this guy out, of course. Hello. It's the morning after all the other footage you just saw. Last night we had a super hard time getting the transmission to seat into the engine. So we tried that for like an hour and a half or something. And we're gonna hit that again this morning. Nick's not awake yet, so I'm just working on other stuff, bolting in the sway bar in the back and some other crap that came out for the diff but doesn't need to be there for the trans to come out. So I'm just working on that, and then I guess we're gonna try. So what we think is wrong right now is that we think we're having a problem getting the input shaft to seat into the pilot bushing. So we're gonna put some white lithium grease on there and try it again. And if not, then we're gonna take the engine hoist and try to pull up on the front of the engine to angle it down a little bit more to try to get us to line up. But I mean, we're right there. I don't think that's necessary. I think we just have to get this pilot bushing seated. But anyway, that's kind of the status update. I guess I can show you what we're working with right now. This seems like the best method to me. It's a little bit dangerous, but it seems to work. We have 2 jacks, one on the front, one on the rear, and then there's a jack stand underneath there just in case, basically. But that allows us to adjust the height of the rear and the front independently. That is an installed transmission. Finally. So, we just figured out what was wrong, why the transmission wouldn't go back in. I had left one of the transmission bolts in so I could use it to brace the pressure plate so I could tighten it. So the reason it wouldn't go in any further no matter what we tried is because there was a fucking bolt in the way. Excuse my language, probably shouldn't say that. So, after buying a new pilot bushing, and a new clutch alignment tool to make sure that none of that was the problem, there was just a bolt in the way. So I'll see if when I watch the footage back when I edit this, if I can see that it's very clearly there. But I found it when we pulled the trans away to put the new pilot bushing in, and I was like, what's that doing there? So I guess there's your lesson today. Now we're going to start putting stuff back together. I'm a little bit disappointed because I also noticed the diff is leaking from the rear cover. So looks like I'm going to have to take that back out and reseal the rear cover and replace the fluid. So, but anyway, at least it's back together. We are on the downhill now, so that's awesome. I'll keep you updated if anything else goes wrong, but I think it's just going to be remembering where all the bolts go. So that's cool. And these are my friends who helped me because I'm a moron and didn't check where all the bolts were there. So I'm so sorry that I wasted 6 hours of our time trying to push something in that had a bolt in the way.
The transmission.
Yeah, does that? Dang it! Now I feel really responsible. All right. It's time to get to work, boys and girls. I'm pretty confident we're going to finish today. The trans is now in, and all we got to do is bolt everything back up and bleed the clutch and tighten the diff cover bolts because it's leaking, and either it's leaking because those studs were never torqued, because I assumed the seller torqued them, or it's leaking because the gasket is either not enough or there's no gasket in there, and I need to take the cover off and gasket it. But I only have one set of keys here. I guess the Miata key is on it, but the Miata's not here, so it's game time. Yeah, I guess I'll cover anything that goes wrong or is weird while I'm putting stuff back on, but I guess maybe I can show you my leaky diff cover. Let me get under here. You can see right there, there's a little bit of fluid on the ground. And if you look at this guy, right there, he's a little bit wet. And over there, he's a little bit wet. So we're gonna take a look at that. All right, so looks like it's going to be one more day, I guess. We got everything bolted back together. Oh, maybe I shouldn't go in there. We got everything bolted back together. The exhaust is on, all the sway bar or whatever the rear suspension bar is, and the clutch isn't bled and the interior is not reassembled. So that's all that's left to do tomorrow. But it's almost 1 a.m. and we all got to work in the morning, so we decided to call it because it was probably another maybe hour of doing stuff and then a test drive, and then I was going to try to drive the car to work tomorrow, so we'll just do it tomorrow after work because tomorrow's Friday. So yeah, I'm thoroughly ruining the sweatshirt, which I guess is whatever, but that's the story so far. One tip that I wanted, the reason I'm recording this is I have one tip for everybody. So when I started doing this, I started making little piles for all the bolts. Like these bolts go here, these bolts go here. I made little piles. And some people say to put them in little baggies. And I thought, I don't need to do that. I'll remember where everything goes. Well, in recording this video, I started before Christmas break, and it's now January. So these days that I've been able to work on the car have been spaced out. And I 100% forgot where some of the bolts went. So there's like 2 spots where I'm like, yeah, I don't know what goes there at all. Like, I can't find the bolt if it exists. And the bolts that I can find, I'm like, yeah, this doesn't seem right. So if you're doing this project and you're new to working on cars like I am, like, it's a super good idea to get some plastic bags and a Sharpie and just label them. You know, take pictures of stuff before you take it off, whatever you have to do to remember, because I thought I'd remember and I didn't, and it made it much more difficult because I spent time hunting around looking for bolts. So that's my 2 cents, and I'll continue this tomorrow. I'm going to bed. Well, I'm going to shower and then I'm going to go to bed. All that's left is to put the interior back together. As you can see here, I had some difficulty getting my shift knob off, and I just decided I'll just pull the boot off. And I've re-put the boot under the metal thing and retightened it. I got to put these wire clips back in and then work on reassembling. It looks like at some point somebody took my interior apart and they looped these cables through the hole, which is fine, but it makes them super difficult. So I actually wasn't able to remove this guy, which is why he's all over the place. So yeah, and then I got to pick up all the crap that fell out of the center console when I flipped it over. But we're almost done. We're almost there. So yeah. And with that, everything's back together. Over oh, here we go. Over time, my oh, let me get my light lit up. There it goes. Over time, my shift boot has kind of started to decay. Some of these pieces on the ring are starting to crack away, but now I gotta, oh, here, that'll help. I just gotta pick up all the crap that fell down, but then we'll get to see if she rolls. When you're bleeding the system, although I'm pretty sure I said that you need to, but if that wasn't obvious, after you've disconnected the clutch line, you will have to bleed the system again. When you're doing that, you should be able to see or feel the, I can hear it when I'm laying under there, and you can also feel the transmission kind of shift around as the clutch moves. So I have pretty high confidence that everything's going to be fine. As you can see, the car is already on the ground. It's no longer up. So, that's pretty much all that's left, although I'm going to pick up this garbage first. But I have to do 300 miles of break-in before I can really tell you what I think of my new clutch and flywheel setup. Golly, I film a lot of my videos at night, don't I? Oh, it's in the trunk. Let's go home.